All right, so India is rolling out the red carpet for Russian President Vladimir Putin, who arrives today for a 2-day state visit. His first trip to India since the Ukraine war began. He will co-chair the 23rd annual India-Russia summit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as New Delhi navigates US sanctions pressure and a shifting global order. Putin will hold restricted talks with Prime Minister Modi, followed by a private dinner. Key agenda points include geopolitics and major defense deals, including discussions on additional S-400 systems, the potential S-500 missile system, and the Su-57 fifth-generation fighter jet. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh will also meet his Russian counterpart, who will receive a tri-service guard of honor. This visit is being closely watched for its implications on India's defense partnerships and the broader geopolitical alignments. Now, India and Russia enjoy an enduring defense partnership, with both sides looking to boost this cooperation. During Vladimir Putin's visit, a possible deal on the S-500, which is the more advanced version of the S-400, is very much on the cards. The S-500 missile system, it tracks targets across a vast 500 to 600 kilometer range, reaching altitudes of up to 200 kilometers, which is a far bigger upgrade than the existing S-400 in India's arsenal. It is engineered to detect and to track everything that the S-400 does, like drones, aircrafts, cruise missiles. But this one can track ballistic missiles and even hypersonic threats. A standard unit typically fields 12 transporter erector launchers, allowing rapid and coordinated missile deployment. This system is designed to detect and simultaneously engage up to 10 ballistic or hypersonic targets. It uses two next-gen interceptor missiles, the 77N6N and the 77N6N1, which employ a hit-to-kill mechanism. Very important to note here, meaning they are designed to destroy incoming targets by direct impact. In 2023, the estimated cost of a single system stood at $2.5 billion. Another important point here. For more on this, we have with us Siddhant Mishra, who's joining us live. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, that's a major thing on the agenda, the S-400s and a potential S-500 deal as well. What can you tell us?
Well, what I have been given to understand is that it is very unlikely that any new defense-related announcements will be made during President Putin's state visit. All we know is that Russians have been pushing for S-500s, Su-57, in fact, additional squadrons of S-400. And the talks are going on from a long time. Now, since it's a state visit, President Putin is coming to India, perhaps this particular discussion will definitely be taking place when two leaders will hold delegation-level talks. Now, in 2018, the deal was signed for 5 squadrons of S-400s. Out of 5, only 3 were delivered by 2021. 2 squadrons are still remaining, so India will definitely be asking the Russian side to get the delivery done as soon as possible. As 500 is concerned, definitely Indians have shown interest in S-500, but it will definitely be coming up for the discussion. Now, as far as Su-57 is concerned, in fact, ahead of this visit at the Dubai Air Show, the Russians offered Su-57 to India. In fact, there at the Dubai Air Show, they promised technology transfer, co-production, etc., things like that. So that will also definitely be coming up for the discussion. But sources in the Indian government have confirmed this to us, that it is very unlikely that any big-ticket defense-related announcements will be made during this state visit of President Putin. And also this has never been tradition of the Indian government, especially under Prime Minister Modi, that big-ticket defense-related deals are signed or announced during the state visits.
All right, well, Siddhant, that's a very important clarification also. Thank you so much for bringing us the latest on this. Of course, we'll continue to track the developments. It's going to be an action-packed 2 days. Thank you so much for that for now. Now, there are various elements to this all-important meet between the two. Let's look at the different avenues where Russia and India can in fact achieve a no-limits partnership. Does that ring a bell? Defense and technology cooperation. If Russia delivers more S-400 regiments and offers significant technology transfer with S-500, India could both upgrade its strategic air defense and strengthen domestic manufacturing and maintenance capacity. As Siddhant just mentioned, even though there may not be any breakthrough in this visit, this has been an ongoing dialogue, something to watch out for as well. This would align with India's push under its self-reliance policy while preserving strategic depth, energy security and diversified fuel supply with global energy volatility and sanctions on Russia pushing up uncertainty. India's continued supply of Russian oil gives it a buffer here. Let's talk about Russia. For Russia, India becomes an anchor buyer, helping Moscow maintain energy revenues even under pressure, something that India has done. Economic and trade expansion beyond oil. Both sides have signaled interest in a broader trade deal exporting Indian pharmaceuticals, processed foods, marine goods, consumer products. If successful, this diversification could narrow India's trade deficit with Russia and generate more balanced trade flows as well. Now, we'd heard in those comments from Dmitry Peskov how they are looking to push up this trade between the two to $100 billion by the year 2030. We are currently at $68 billion, just some of the figures that we're putting out there. Financial and payment cooperation, that's also a major element here in this potential no-limits partnership. Given the difficulties imposed by Western sanctions and pressures on global banking, establishing a stable rupee-ruble settlement mechanism could allow both trade and investments to flow with lesser exposure to Western financial systems. Civil, nuclear and energy collaboration talks are expected around small and medium nuclear reactors. For India, that may help address long-term energy demand. For Russia, it's a way to export nuclear technology and to deepen high-value industrial collaboration as well. All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Simran Babbar. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, let's just talk about the various areas in which we could see the potential for a no-limits partnership between India and Russia. The aim pretty much right now is to further strengthen and deepen this relationship. What can you tell us?
Well, absolutely. As you have rightly, in fact, said and picked up the very crucial points as well, from where I would also like to pick up at this point of time at ITC, where we are. In fact, New Delhi is all decked up to await the arrival of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. And at the very same time, when we are speaking about the sensitive diplomatic engagements, it is to be noted that for India and Russia, there are several areas where, in fact, the engagement is expected. Flying to India for Russian President Vladimir Putin is one way of doing so, to also give a reply and, in fact, a direct messaging to the United States, which is and has been for a long term, has been extending its pressure on India for the sanctions that it has implied for buying the Russian crude oil. And when we speak of this geopolitical tension that is uncertain at this point of time, it is also to be noted that for Russia, there are many key areas of interest for engagement and very joint pacts with India. And when we speak of that, as you also asked me about the diplomatic, in fact, engagement and the core areas where there is breakthrough expected, mobility is definitely one of that region where Russia is running currently on a very less labor shortage, and India is going to be a huge, in fact, contributor, where India still currently is also the third largest consumer of the crude oil. And when it continues to also increase the import of the Russian crude oil for the previous years, when we speak of this relationship and the bilateral ties, when it is not to be mentioned but also to be noted very significantly that it is a relationship that has been built over the years from the time of 1955, when Russia and India ties strengthened, and now that we are speaking in 2025 at the same year when Russian President Vladimir Putin has visited many nations, but as 2025 has come to an end, India has become a primitive choice. Why? Because it is in fact important for the US to also understand the dynamics that has been in the works for India and the Russia, whether it's defense, trade, in fact power, energy, or even buying the jets and also the oil as well. India and Russia have given a very clear message, and from the talks that will be beginning after this evening, from a very bang on in fact dinner that will be taking place at 7 LKM, this is going to also pave the journey for the long talks and diplomatic engagements in the days to come, as in fact this October as well, when we speak, when we talked about the ME also saying that India is also keen in exploring those diverse regions where Russia is interested in fact extending the collaborations, and that is where the talks would be taken further from. And as I spoke about the areas as well, this is going to be in fact a very jam-packed visit with more of the engagements centered around the areas where the bilateral ties have already been much in the talks.
All right, now, Simran, thank you so much. Pretty much summed it up for us. Of course, remains to be seen how things unfold. It's going to be, as I've been mentioning, it's going to be an action-packed day as well. Now,